Well, bigger may not be better, at least when it comes to drones. The Department of Homeland Security is now working on downsizing drones, making them smaller and sleeker. According to Wired, it's being tested now in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. It's part of Homeland Security's program called Robotic Aircraft for Public Safety. Its compact size would allow servicemen to launch the drones by hand, sending them to hover for 30 minutes to 2 hours at a time. To talk more about what exactly these mini drones are capable of, I am joined now by Amy Stefanovich, Associate Litigation Counsel for Epic. Amy, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. So these drones, they are getting smaller. Is this practical or scary?
Well, normally, look at historically speaking. We have aircraft, airplanes, helicopters, very large vehicles in the air conducting aerial surveillance. It's what we're used to. We can look up, we can see them. They make very loud noises. We're aware when we're under some sort of aerial surveillance most of the time. As drones get smaller, not only are they going to get quieter, not only are they going to be able to maneuver maybe a lot better, but they're also going to get into places and be able to surveil areas where aerial vehicles weren't able to do before. So they may be able to get right up next to a large building, a 20, 30 floor building, and look inside the
more
windows.
Discreetly, kind of just like hover outside
Exactly.
outside the window and do it a little bit more on the down low. So, I mean, drones already are being called into question for possibly violating privacy. So does this make that even more possible and more controversial in terms of our privacy?
I think it really does. I mean, there are no laws out there right now that protect privacy from the use of drones. And as this technology gets more available, as people start adopting it a lot more, the standards that are out there say that as people adopt the technology more, the police will be able to do more and more with it. DHS will be able to do more and more with it without needing a warrant. So we're entering an age where everything that we do, even possibly down the road in our own homes, could be subject to unwarranted police surveillance. And I think that's kind of not where we want this country to go. Those aren't the principles this country was founded on. So we're looking at trying to get some sort of regulations put into place to say that drone surveillance can't lead to this future.
All right. Well, we have a company like Raytheon. They're manufacturing these small drones. And they're saying, you know what, these drones are smaller, so they can be less deadly and more efficient because they can pinpoint their targets more efficiently and kill less people. What do you think about that?
Well, in the United States, thankfully, at the moment, we're not worried about them killing people. We're much more worried about them surveilling people. However, there are police departments that have expressed interest in having rubber bullets, having tear gas, possibly having deadly weapons on the drones in the future. That's not in the cards right now. That's going to be a little down the road. However, they are able to target surveillance targets better too. So if they want to keep an eye on a suspected criminal, or maybe even just somebody they want to retaliate against, somebody who may have gone to a protest and spoken out against a policy or a department, and they want to keep an eye on that person, they're able to do that much more efficiently. And I think that's not a great thing, actually, because then you see that the surveillance goes on and on and on, and they feel like they can do that without ever going to a court or having any checks put on that.
So do you see this being a common and widespread tool of local law enforcement?
I see it coming that way, based on the many police departments in the country that are using it already, based on the fact that everybody else, many other departments have expressed interest in using this tool. I think it's coming to a point where this is going to be just another kind of tool in the arsenal of surveillance methods that police have at their disposal. And I think that without the necessary rules put into place, that it can really become a violation to everybody's rights.
Well, and as these get smaller, they also get more affordable. So does that then make it even more likely to become more widespread?
It does. And like I said, because of the legal standard we have in place right now, the common law of the United States, when this technology starts becoming more available to people, it's able to be used more by police. So drones are able to carry gigapixel cameras, 100 times more powerful than a normal camera. They can have infrared technology, they can see through walls. They really can surveil like no other aerial method before because they were built to conduct surveillance. That's how they were designed. So as this technology becomes more common, people become to buy it more, and it's cheaper and they can buy it more, then police are going to continue to use it in more and more invasive ways.
All right, I mean, how can we expect the public to react to this?
Thankfully, the public has reacted very negatively to the police use of drones. A study came out recently. I actually thought it was quite funny because the headlines say that almost half of the people are okay with the use of drones for police surveillance. However, what the headline should have said was over 50% of the population are not okay with police using drones to surveil other people in the United States. In fact, that study showed that only 35% of people were kind of okay with the police use of this technology. And as people are more and more educated, we're seeing more and more people speak out against the use of drone technology for law enforcement.
All right, so a lot of people are not happy with drones hovering in our skies, whether they're big or small. What can we do to stop the proliferation of them?
Well, we have to go back to Congress and we have to go to the FAA and we have to tell people that we don't want this technology in our airspace. And if it's going to come anyway, we want it to be put in place with very rigid restrictions and the ability for people who, when a company or when law enforcement violate those restrictions, somebody can go to court and somebody can take them and hold them to task, that there has to be accountability built into this.
So since it's kind of a relatively new technology, you're saying these protections are just not there.
They're not there yet. In fact, DHS, which has the largest drone program in the country, they are doing the public safety, quote unquote, public safety program with the small drones. They also, CBP, which is the Customs and Border Protection Bureau of DHS, has 11 Predator drones that they operate on the borders. Huge amount of drones operated by DHS, and they haven't even conducted a privacy impact assessment. This is the baseline level, just to see how privacy is impacted by their use of the technology. They haven't even looked that far into it, let alone put regulations into place.
All right, so we see that it looks like small drones are on the horizon, but that doesn't mean that those big, massive drones that we've reported on are necessarily going away.
No, they're still here too. You're going to see drones of all shapes and sizes in the next 10 years unless we can stop them.
Oh boy, all right. Sounds kind of scary. Thank you so much for telling us all about them. That was Amy Stefanovich, Associate Litigation Counsel for Epic.